HIV stigma continues to cause a great deal of personal and collective damage. It might still also prevent HIV positive persons from working or studying, and others from hiring them or including them in activities or loving them. Stigma influences health. Scientists have found links between poor health outcomes and stigma. Unfortunately, HIV stigma is associated with higher rates of depression, lower social supports, as well as lower levels of adherence to HIV medications and decreased use of health and social services. HIV stigma still occurs in healthcare settings and can reduce the quality of care that people with HIV receive. Cases of young Indigenous women who want to get pregnant and have a baby and are openly discouraged by some healthcare providers have been documented. It is said that in Western countries, we have a whole generation of forgotten long-term survivors who are alive. They take medications, but increasingly cut off from social participation or emotional relationships because of their age. Once a person has a perceived blemish, we tend to pile up more defects on them, and this might lead to overtly or silently treating the person in negative ways. All in all, there is evidence that stigma is decreasing in the Canadian healthcare services, and this is a good thing.
It has been documented that in spite of many challenges, people living with HIV get better at managing stigma over time, and this is called resilience. And we want to support the character traits and motivations and actions that make a person resilient. For example, older HIV persons, like me, experience the same amount of discrimination as others. However, we tend to build strong support networks, and we have had chance to get rid of internalized stigma more than those who have just started to deal with an HIV diagnosis. So there's lots we can learn from HIV positive people about being resilient and overcoming obstacles.
Canadian research has been conducted on the impact of HIV stigma in seeking employment or volunteering. Often, there are prejudices that HIV positive persons should not have jobs where it is wrongly feared they can pass the virus on to others, say if you're a nurse or a caregiver or a cook. Also, HIV positive people often struggle with the decision to let the human resources person at their workplace know that they're HIV positive, for fear of being treated differently, or not getting the workplace accommodations they need, or having their HIV status disclosed to coworkers.
It has been documented that HIV positive persons who are in the workplace tend to do really well in terms of adherence to medications and treatments, and they have really good health outcomes. It has also been documented in business that workers with disabilities reduce turnover costs, enhance corporate brand, and foster inclusion and diversity. A workplace should offer structure and participation, and it gets even better if the person can disclose that they're HIV positive.
In educational institutions, students living with HIV do not always think it is necessary or feel confident to let their instructors or departmental administrators know about their HIV. If they have to miss classes or skip a term due to depression or an illness, they do not always think it is safe to disclose that this is related to HIV.
So, how do we find out what kind of stigma or how much stigma is affecting one person, a group, a workplace, or a healthcare service? There are many ways of researching stigma through, say, archival research, administering surveys and interviews and focus groups. And some researchers look at the effect of media through analyzing how people living with HIV are portrayed or we are ignored by the media. There are a number of psychological and psychometric tools that measure how much stigma impacts one's self-image and confidence. And there's also art-based research using methodologies such as body mapping, photo voice, collective theater, and memoir and fiction writing. All these techniques show the effects of medicalization of HIV and the stigmatization by others or by organizational policies in powerful audiovisual ways. And there are intervention research efforts that consist of counseling and support groups or series of sessions with healthcare providers to help them identify the ways in which they might be inadvertently treating people with HIV with, say, pity or in paternalistic ways instead of fostering their resilience and empowerment. In the face of adversity, HIV stigma has brought to light an awesome amount of resilience and empowerment of people living with HIV over these years.
We encourage you to learn more about the complexity of HIV stigma, to think about what you do and say, and to talk with others, to do research, and to create practical ways of combating stigma. It might not be the case that stigma and the act of stigmatizing is curable. It might not be the case that stigma or extreme disapproval will always exist. We might believe that we can protect ourselves by discriminating against others, or that it is necessary to rank people by their abilities and disabilities, instead of thinking and acting in equitable ways. We might think that some disabilities or chronic conditions are more important than others. However you look at it, stigma is a blow to social justice and equity. It must be reduced and ideally eliminated.